Okay, let's try to address some questions as they relate to the rehab sector, specifically documentation questions. Before we go into the documentation though, our rehab sectors follow NFPA standard 1584, which in essence says that if you go through 2 air bottles on the fire grounds or you have a low air alarm while you're engaged in any fireground operations, you're going to report to the rehab sector. And with that in mind, I'll try to clarify some of the questions that people have regarding the documentation that has to take place during fireground operations in the rehab sector. On the G drive, under Forms, you'll find a form entitled HCFR Incident Rehab Tracking Log. Everyone that migrates through the rehab sector has to have an entry on this form. If there's no injuries, no one's transported, no casualties on the scene, then the next step for the medical officer in the rehab sector is to generate an EPCR report. In the demographics section, you're not going to put a name. What you're going to put is Rehab Sector Report. Then you're going to attach a scanned version of your rehab tracking log to the EPCR report. And remember, in the demographics section, you're just going to put Rehab Sector Report. If you have questions on the protocol and the policies that cover this, it's found in your protocol under section 300. Specifically, it's 300.16. And this protocol policy applies to fireground operations. It applies to training operations. If you're working through, you're going to be headed to rehab at some point in the game. That's how we keep everybody fresh and everybody goes home safe. As we bring this segment to a close, remember that this segment dealt with documentation as it related to rehab with no injuries or casualties. We'll do another one of these in the next week or so that covers what to do if you did have an injury or casualty, and also gets into a little bit more of the specifics of the rehab sector operations and how we handle situations. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, every day is a training day.